On this Mother's Day, our Chartres community assembled in this virtual circle. Give thanks. We give thanks for our Mother Earth, for our grandmother Moon, for our own mothers, for the motherly impulse within us each, and collectively, the heart of our Chartres community, the abiding, empowering, beauteous Mother, the Hill of Chartres, the Vale of Mary, the labyrinth, the cathedral. Our voices raised, circled around the labyrinth, in joyous remembrance and renewal of that which gives us life. Amen.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you tuning in from different parts of the world. Welcome to our monthly Chartres community call. My name is Banafshe Sayad, and I'm sitting in for Jim Garrison, who is currently in the heart of Yosemite and couldn't be online with us today. We began the call with the beautiful voice of Ruth Cunningham and received the profound invocation of Apila, Colorado. Thank you so much. Blessed Mother's Day to all you mothers and the lovers of the Great Mother and our beloved Chartres Cathedral as her earthly abode. Paradise is under the feet of your mothers, says Muhammad. So in kissing the feet of our mothers, the Great Mother, with adoration and gratitude, we also kiss paradise. We will now hear from our resident astrologer, Lynn Bell, who will give us her insightful star report, opening our minds to the heavens.
Thank you, Apila. Welcome, everyone. And this time we gather together at the end of the moon, at the time of the dark moon. And of course, living in France, I'm very aware that it's the end of Ramadan. a month-long cycle where people have been observing or practicing a very profound practice in much of the world, in much of the Muslim world, of not partaking in water or food until sunset, from sunrise to sunset, and then gathering and celebrating and opening each time. And in the Muslim tradition, this particular last few days of the lunar cycle in Ramadan was said to be the moment when the angel came to the prophet. So we're in a time of reflection. I've seen many people bring up photographs. Many people reflect on the past, on what they had, what they have lost, what they will always have. And so we're in a time with the waning moon of emptying out to some degree, of losing things, emptying out, releasing, but also at the same time, as we remember, and we remember without clinging, without urgency, without battle, we also have the possibility of touching something extremely deep, as Banafsheh says, under the feet of the mother, of touching something very profound, of touching the notion of the source, of the spiritual source. Today, the moon is exactly square Pluto. And so in a particularly powerful, Pluto is the underworld in the mythological rendering of the planet's significance. So we are going down to a very deep place. There is no light of the moon in the sky tonight. And we are touching something deep so that we can spring forward, because today Venus has just changed signs into Gemini. Mercury is in Gemini. And on the 13th of May, not so very far away, for those in the States, and in the 14th for those in Europe or Australia or that side of the date line, the planet Jupiter shifts out of Aquarius into Pisces. And this is a big event because Pisces is the watery realm. It's the place where everything can shape shift. And it is a place of renewal of the possibilities, the creative possibilities of what comes into being, beginning to come in new ways. In the astrological tradition, we say that Jupiter in Aquarius, although it helps, it furthers community, it's in a sign that was traditionally ruled by Saturn. And so it doesn't give its full benefit. And what will happen as Jupiter goes into Pisces is that something quite, there is a release energy, a sort of not needing to hold on to boundaries. So for many of us, there's a psychological move and a move into the feeling realm. Pisces is a water sign, of course. And so it's very appropriate that today we'll be talking about dreams with Jupiter going into Pisces. There is a very, it's as if all the waters of the world, we say that Jupiter is the original ruler of Pisces, even though now we give it to Neptune in modern astrology. But so the two rulers of this sign are in Pisces, Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune for 14 years, Jupiter just for a few months before it retrogrades back until it enters next year. But it's this very alive, very fluid, very fertile time for the psyche, for the imagination, for the soul, and for our feeling.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We will hear now from Apila and the Dream Team. Dream work has been an integral part of the Chartres Academy, the Ubiquity Chartres Academy, since its inception in 2006. And you, our beloved Chartres community, requested more dream work this year. So we've organized 3 sessions beginning today. The next one will be during Humanity Rising on June 7th. And the culminating one, which will be a multimedia presentation, will be during the intensive Dialectica, the second liberal art of Dialectica, which is from July 4th till 10th. So I now turn it over to Apila and the Dream Team.
Good morning, Chartres Dreamers. This morning, the Dream Team assembled from around the world. Ashley Lloyd doing glyphing in the DC area. Beth Duncan also over on the East Coast doing our scribe work. Kate Genevieve glyphing as well in New Zealand. Veronica Kutzer in South Africa doing our graphic arts and photography. And thanks to Matt Tucker for sound. So good morning, Chartres Dreamers. We only have a limited time this morning, so just to remind you, please do not read your dreams, say your dreams. Rick will, when you raise your hand when you're ready to share a dream, and Rick will open up your line. We will do 3 dream sessions, as Banachet said, and at the end of the dream sessions during Chartres, we will do a production to reflect back what's come out of the dreams. And these are really important dreams because we are the only group, thanks to the Sacred Impulse from Chartres, that has done a pandemic dream series. We did 3 dream sessions during the deep pandemic months ago, which seems lifetimes ago now. And these 3, presumably, near the end of the pandemic. All the dream research has been about how many times people dreamt of this or that, and they suspect that the stress people are under has something to do with the dreams. No kidding. So when we get done with this, we will do some, besides a reflection, we're going to write up a piece, hopefully have it published, maybe a little book. So yes, Beth is giving me a note. I'm Apila, Colorado, but I know most of you anyway. So good morning, and we are now in circle and ready to receive your dream. So Rick.
Robert's first up. He's open.
Good morning, Robert. Oh, Lynn Bell has a hand up too. Maybe he doesn't have his mic on.
He doesn't have his mic on.
Really? Rick? I think Rick doesn't have his mic on.
I'm sorry, Valerie is there. Robert's not coming on.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning. So about a week ago, I had a dream that I was being stung by a very large fly, and the bite hurt very much. And it was definitely a fly, not a bee, and it was probably like about 3 inches long. It was very large. And every time it bit, it would leave something behind under the skin, which made me think of like a stinger. it looked a little like an eyelash. And someone said, "Oh, wait a minute, see what happens." And I started to notice that the things that were left behind, the eyelash type thing, started to wriggle and eventually emerge out of my skin, bringing with it a lot of icky, gooey stuff. It sort of looked like a thick, flat worm, but it was things that were coming out of my body with whitish, translucent kind of with it. And so everywhere I had been bitten, these things were coming out. And I looked at this and thought, oh, this is just kind of nauseating to look at. But then I realized, oh, it's all these false ideas, these negative things, these other things that I'd learned that I need to unlearn that are actually coming out of me. And so it made it easier to be sort of grateful for it. And that was essentially the end of it, that they just, all this emerged, and I thought, oh, it's these ideas that are no longer serving that are emerging from all of this. Oh, there was one other thing that then I used my feet they were coming out of my legs, these things mostly, and I used my feet to clear them off my skin, so that they wouldn't be stuck on me and they would be let go completely.
Mm. Oh, thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
So-
Brenda's there. She'll be open in a second. Okay.
Okay.
Brenda.
Can you hear me?
Good morning,
Yes.
Brenda.
Location is France, and I'm in France, and there is a marriage to be celebrated, and the celebration meal is croissants, which, as you know, are those little moon-shaped breads that one has with coffee. It's in a cafe, the marriage, and the people are assembled already. The bridegroom is there, and I'm making my way there. And that's the end of the dream.
Oh, thank you. And happy Mother's Day.
So I would like to tell my dream. This is Lynn Bell. I had a dream about 2.5 weeks ago. I was preparing an intensive of 3 days of teaching and on family patterns. And so a few nights before, I had a dream that I walked into a garden and there was a pool, a rock pool, a swimming pool, but it was made of natural cream-colored rocks, and there was foliage, and there were some people in this garden, and I went into the pool and I was swimming underwater, and I wanted to come up to the top of the water. And I could see the light and I could see the bubbles at the top, but I was having trouble swimming because I gathered all these rocks from the bottom of the pool. They were flat rocks, the kind of rocks that you would gather for a Zen spa, let's say. And I had so many in both hands that I couldn't quite swim well. And that was my dream.
Oh, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Diane's mic is open.
Yes, Diane Browsey. I am in New Hampshire, and I had a dream several days ago where I was in a building, in a house, and this man came in who was I was young, I was a teenager or young college age. Older man came in, and he looked a little familiar, but I didn't know who he was, either in this life or in the dream. And I was ironing a pair of tan linen slacks that I was going to wear to school that day. And I looked up at him and said, "Well, why are you here? Who are you?" And he said, "I've come for you. I've come to be with you," or something like that. And I said, "Oh." And he said, "Yes, we've been together before." And I had vague memories of having met him in childhood or some other lifetime. I didn't know. But I knew that he would hold me and protect me while the whatever apocalypse came on, which was coming from the southeast. I don't know what form exactly, but we knew we would all die. And I knew that I would die in his arms. So that was the end of that. I wasn't afraid. It wasn't at all fearful. It was just, well, this is what's happening. And I was happy to know that there would be someone there with me when I died.
Thank you, Diane. And I hope the glyphers are surviving, because I forgot to tell everyone to sort of speak slowly. Oh. Okay, we're ready, Rick.
I don't see anybody else's hand up.
It'd be a short dream session.
Oh, there's Anne. Hold on a second.
Excuse me.
Okay, Anne's microphone's open.
Good morning. I'm Ann Sayas from New Orleans. This dream occurred about 2.5 weeks ago. I am in France being a tourist, and I'm getting tired. So I go into a coffee shop in order to rest a while. They're very luxurious, overstuffed chairs and a hassock that I sit into and put my feet up on the hassock. I get an exotic hot chocolate with whipped cream coming all the way to the top.
Anne, slow down a little bit. The first hands are going to be smoldering. Okay, thank you.
There is another member of the tour there, a man by the name of Ted, who asks me to go with him to see the Radiators that night. It's a music group from New Orleans, whom I've never seen. And I agree to go and meet him there. And then I say, I'm going over to the old quarters to an antique shop. And so I go to the antique shop, and there is the leader there who had spoken to our tour group. He's called Tally, which is short for Taliesin. He's wearing a coral shirt. He had shown us, when he spoke to us, or had talked to us about a mask. And I asked to see the mask. And the mask is sort of dark rust colored and actually looks like a pumpkin with that jagged smile or grimace across the face. I decide I don't like it. Then a group of neighborhood teenagers come into the shop. I watch them explore the little trinkets that are on the shelf. and one of them picks up what appears to be a light green drink can and puts it on the counter and starts to crush it. And I asked him not to do that. I said, it's not just a soft drink can, it's some sort of mechanical object inside it. It's a camouflage, and it's very precious. They leave. Now, Tally comes over and stands very close. He smells of exotic shave cream, and I think this is not going to end up well. I tell him I want to go explore more, and he says, take the car, it's parked out front. And he gives me a scarf to wear. The scarf is red with gold threads in it and is very, very long. The car is something like a Maserati, the only sports car name that I know. And I get in and begin to drive. It has great power and ease of steering. My scarf flows out behind me, all the way behind the car. I park the car, and a royal entourage approaches. And I wonder what the proper etiquette is. Tally slips in the car beside me and says, I am not the busboy. I will give you more than notes. After the procession, I start the car and leave.
But slow down, Anne. I'm taking notes too to see if so I can pace myself with the scribe and the glyphers that I can't keep up. Okay, so where you left me is with the royal entourage.
The royal entourage approaches, and I wonder what the proper etiquette is. Tally slips into the car and says, I am not the busboy. I will give you more than notes. After the procession, I start the car and leave. That's it.
Love the scarf too. A beautiful image. Thank you, Anne. And happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Beth's microphone's open, Apila.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Beth, and I'm in Baltimore, as Apila mentioned. So in my dream, I was with my sister initially, and it felt like we were in a home that we grew up in, but it didn't feel like our home that we grew up in. And she's on the phone, and I realize she's talking to what I think is my brother, but it turns out it's a salesperson. And she turns to me and says that she wants to hand the phone to me. And I'm mouthing to her, I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to talk to a salesperson. And she says, I think he may be able to give you a grant. So I start doodling on this pad of paper, and I have this beautiful word grant, and there's all these flowers, and it was really beautiful. It was very strange. And then the scene shifts, and I'm sitting at a table with my sister, my mother, my father. And I see that there's a clipboard next to my seat, and there's an old recipe that my mom had made for a very specific type of waffle. And it's not something she ever did in waking life, but in my dream, she had put together an old recipe for a waffle. And in the dream, my mom had dementia, which she does in waking life as well. And we were talking about her dementia. So that was the dream.
Thank you, Beth.
Kate's mic's open.
Good morning. I'm in Te Whanganui at Chartres, Wellington, New Zealand. And in the dream I had, we were coming out of lockdown. It felt like England, and the people were assembled in the parks. And each person was asked to put their hand on another person in just one place. And then they would move on to the next person and do the same thing. So it had this sense of being a choreographed dance. And we were in a ceremony. There was a teacher who reminded me of many different teachers. They seemed to be Thich Nhat Hanh, Caroline Myss, also Laurie Anderson, the fabulous electronic music maker. And my friend Steve is standing by my side. He's in ceremonial costume. It's Native American and also Scottish. He's wearing a kilt. And from the look of it, it looks like he's almost in ancient Japanese dress, like a warrior. The teacher greets my friend Steve with a smile and a twinkle, and they say, "Oh, the new human is here." Steve is very sincere, and it's a moment that is really important to him in his life, a feeling of great value. And then there is my boyfriend from when I was a teenager, who is also with me, and I'm happy for his familiar presence. He tells me that the whole of his life has prepared him to be with me at this time. I feel really glad for that support. There's an old Cadillac car, a really old, pale, maybe Cuban car. And it takes us from the meeting to an opening ceremony. And the dynamics of the dream feel very much like the introductory welcome at Chartres when we gather in the real St. Yves Hotel, and then the opening ceremony in the garden. In the last passage of the dream, I see Timothy standing in the doorway. He's helping people in the way that Robert used to help people down the steps. And it's really good to see him. There's this sense of him encouraging people, helping them through the door. I say to Steve, "Oh, there's Timothy." And the dream ends with a sense that to live true transformation, the important thing is to tend relationship with the land again. A feeling that that is the only way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate, and happy Mother's Day to New Zealand from Hawaii.
Thank you.
Good to hear your voice again.
Jonathan's mic's open. He's not responding. Why don't we go to Mary?
Is that?
Oh, is that Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan here. Sorry, I got the message, but hadn't pressed it. So I'm in Edmonton in Canada. This was a dream from last night. And there's a young woman who's had a head injury, and something has happened to the salts in her body. I've been called in to see her, and I'm driving along a road which seems to have had evidence of civil unrest, really. There seem to be police cars and ambulances, and yet it seems quite quiet, and it doesn't seem as though these things really impinge on me. I get to the hospital and I discover that I have a long-limbed gray hunting cat, and I need to put it somewhere so that it will be taken care of while I'm in the hospital. And I go to a room to put it into and open it, and there's I realize it's the on-call room, and there's another physician there, a woman. So I ask her if she's allergic to cats. She laughs and says she is not. And the cat itself is just investigating and is wearing a harness with long reins, and I just usher it into the room. That was the end.
Just 1 minute here, please. Oh, thank you, Jonathan from Edmonton. Blessings to your land.
Mary's mic is open, Apila.
Okay.
This is Mary Moskoff from Madison, Wisconsin. And this dream came about a month ago. And my husband died tragically from COVID in November. So this is a post-COVID dream. And I was on a plane traveling, and there was a stopover. And I left my jacket and my purse and my belongings on the plane because I thought we were just going to get off and transfer. But when I got off, it was desolate. It was Cuba. I was by myself. I was crawling on the ground, trying to get up a hill, struggling. When I got up, there wasn't any terminal anymore. The hangars were gone. I didn't see anything marked that I could get back on an airplane. So I was walking to look for other people, and I saw a group of people when a boar came and attacked me and punctured my leg. This is after getting my vaccine. That's what I'm figuring out. And it was just a very unsettling feeling of being lost, not having any identification, not having any resources, any money, and being in a foreign country that was kind of decimated. And I don't remember much more after that, but it was unsettling.
Mary, it's so good to hear your voice again. I thought about you recently, and I'm sorry to hear about your husband. It's really, really awful.
Thank you. It was more than, yes, it was awful. Apila, you look so beautiful. I think you were in my dream last night.
Oh.
Yes, it was very comforting. So I found pictures of one of our cave trips yesterday. It was nice to look at the beautiful Fontagam and all of us entering Fontagam. And it was just one of the most beautiful. I've done many cave trips with you, but this was one of the most wonderful. So just to see that all again, maybe why I dreamt about you last night.
Yeah, thank you, Mary, because the thing is, we're doing this dream work, and I talk about it being pandemic and hopefully near the end of the pandemic. That's the context. That's an idea or a thought, an abstraction. And the reality is, by the time we're done, just in America alone, will probably be 1 million people that have lost their lives because of COVID. It's just such a deep, seemingly endless pit that we've been in. And American Indians, we all say, like, there are like 2 big cycles of time, not linear time, but earth time. And one time is the time of human beings where we make our changes, and then the next cycle is the earth making her changes. And we believe that that's what, in our calendars say, that's what we are in now. And much of what we're experiencing, we human beings, of course, have exacerbated or brought on ourselves, and we're what's getting adjusted. But the suffering and the grief, especially in India now, it's real. Thank you for bringing us into that reality, Mary.
You're welcome. And without all of your initiations, I don't know if I would have had as many ways to cope with this, if not for the classes in Maui, the trips to France. And I picture that forest that we walked through to get to Maurice's cave. I know Maurice has passed, but to get to Maurice's cave, that magical enchanted forest that has spirits in it, that's in my memory every day as a way to cope. So thank you.
No, we'd really love you, Mary, and I hope you come on for virtual Chartres, and we will see each other again soon. I'm hoping that we can have a self-organizing mini reunion maybe in fall.
Would be
those of us who could
wonderful.
make it to France. So, and if it's possible. So Rick, thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Rick, is there anyone else with the,
Nope.
with?
That's it right now.
Okay, well, actually, right on time. Figure that one out. So as we bring this session to a close, please remember that the next session will be June 7th, and then on Humanity Rising Summit. And then the final will be at virtual Chartres in July. And I want to remind you that by way of participating in this series of dream work, that we have a dream journal, a Chartres dream journal that you can order, and it comes with the rose oil that we use for anointing. And we're offering that because, of course, we won't be together in person for the second, tragically, the second year of pandemic separation. So the Chartres Dream Journal and the oil is available, and Samantha's putting it up in the chat box. And I get to promote my book, July 20th. My book, Woman Between the Worlds, is coming out by Hay House. So I think that's enough for the sales for right now. And happy Mother's Day, everyone. It's so good to be together.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Apila. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your dreams. Wow, so much wisdom. Can't wait to hear and watch what the dream team will put together from all the dreams that have been shared. Every time we've witnessed the presentations in Chartres has been so very profound and so related to the topic, the themes that we've been exploring, and to the currents that we're experiencing. So very profound. Before we close today, I'd like to say a few words about our summer virtual programs. The trilogy dedicated to the importance of creating coherence in our relationships as part of regenerating our world. The first program, and I'm going to put here in the chat the link that has all the three programs together. Because if you sign up for all three, you get a 10% discount, and they're very related. Each of the programs are related to one another. They build upon one another. Our first program is from July 4th to 10th. That's the one that will. That's the one where we will present the dream work multimedia presentation. This is the second liberal art of dialectica. And it's the topic is identity and the other. Dialogues at the intersection of race, gender, ethnicity, and sexuality is the title. In this intensive, we will explore the sacred history of Chartres and the liberal arts, and what the ancients taught about the nature of dialectics, the science of understanding how opposites take shape, collide, synthesize, and harmonize. We will rework this liberal art within the cultural foment of our time and uncover its correspondence to the second chakra, to the sacral chakra, which involves the lessons of how opposites come together, the lessons around self and other, sexuality and generativity. The invitation is to move from other as enemy to other as simply another guise for our own selves. We're all one. The other is us. Diversity is natural. The pathway of moving from opposites, once considered fixed and indisputable, to opposites merging with one another, harmonizing and creating new identities as a model for how our identities and relationships need to morph with ever-changing conditions, is the theme that we will explore together. and this and find the ways that each of us in our lives and in the way we contribute to the greater world can be an instrument in harmonizing, coming together, where our world is so ravaged by duality and polarity that we need this kind of healing. The second program is from July 28th to the 31st, and it's the Dance of Shiva. Our guide is Andrew Harvey, whose birthplace is South India. He will have guests with him on this journey, on this virtual pilgrimage to the tantric temples of South India and the exploration of the ancient temples built in deep antiquity to the mystery of Tantra and the wisdom of the divine human. Andrew has a rare understanding of the ancient wisdom of South India, where Tantra is the wellspring of mystical awareness and the entryway to the dance of the gods and goddesses. Let's now also take a moment to send our prayers to the people in India who are suffering so greatly from the pandemic. The final program of our summer is Madonna Rising, the Alchemy of Healing Relationships, and that's from August 12 to 18. In this intensive, we will create a sacred container to explore the alchemy of relationships and the mysterious journey to the healing of wounded relationships through reconnecting with the earth and generating understanding, forgiveness, and love toward ourselves and one another. Anne Baring, Peggy Rubin, Ruth Cunningham, and myself will be leading this intensive with Andrew Harvey, Jim Garrison, and Kayla and Rain. We will receive wisdom teachings, dance, do embodiment practices, sing, and do sacred theater. One of the relationships we will seek to bring healing to is the relationship with our mother. So many people, especially women, report being estranged from their mother. And I find this to be very, very sad and a place that we really need to give our attention to. So this will be a central theme in our intensive, and even though we can't be in Chartres, we will still generate together with the beautiful images and footage that we have and our memories. We will create the cathedral and seek to bring healing to our relationships, relationship with the earth, ourselves, and each other. So with that, I'd like to know if there are any questions about our programs, if Lynn would like to say anything, having heard all the dreams before we go.
Banushe, this is Apila. I was just wondering this, we have a few minutes, which is really fortunate. Yeah, maybe we could open the mic and let participants share what they would like to.
Yes.
Would that be all right?
Of course. Any questions, any comments, any remembrance of our past programs?
Okay, come on, Chartres community. This is your chance. Jump on this. Open your mic.
I opened up Anne's mic. I think she had her hand raised.
Hello, everyone. I have not been to Chartres with you, and I so totally am excited about going with this group. But my visit to Chartres was incredible. I had hoped to go back sooner. But what I want to say is about the waters beneath the Chartres. I have asked a number of people about the Druid energy of Chartres and the waters, which I was very attracted to the back of Chartres and the water fountain. It's like one of the places I went to immediately and drank water from there. So is there anyone who knows about that, could help me, maybe put something in the chat that I might find more about the ancient streams that flow beneath? Because I felt them very strongly, the convergence right there under the cathedral. Thank you so much for answering my question.
I wonder if Kaylin, you know something about this that you can direct Anne toward? Kaylin?
I'll see if I can promote him. Hold on. Where is Galen? Galen, your mic's open.
I missed part of the question. Hello?
Hi, Galen, we can.
Yes, just give me part of the question again.
The waters below Chartres, I feel there's a confluence of waters from several places under the cathedral and moving maybe in a spiral. Has anyone discussed that? Do you know anything about that and how I might find out more from ley line people or from anyone, a dragon line expert?
Yeah, I have. If you can email me, I'll send you. I can send you a PowerPoint and then walk you through it. I did one presentation there that showed the crop circle that appeared in 2012 after we had set up some altars in England, which showed there were five what looked like bubbles underneath the well and underneath the cathedral, and those corresponded to what we believe are five wells under there that come together, each one speaking with 110 or 111 hertz voice, which was the voice in the ancient teachings was 110 hertz. So when you're in the lower church, what some people call the crypt, in the lower church, the frequency in there is 555 hertz. So it's pulling the information from the five wells. That's a short version of the PowerPoint, but if you want to email me, we can Skype or something and I can walk you through the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Kaylin. I'm excited to hear that. And I just put my email into the chat for you to grab. Would that work? Or you could send me yours.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Thank you so much. So many blessings to all on this Mother's Day of the Mother of Mothers. Thank you.
The other thing is Kate Genevieve did some research for our dream group on the rivers beneath Chartres because the rivers show up almost every year in the dream work.
Thank you again. I will write her name down and pursue that.
Okay, Banashe, there's no other hands raised at this point.
Okay, well, Apila, will you give us a blessing at the end?
Mm-hmm. Ancestors, Great Spirit, Mother, Father, we give thanks for our Chartres community, for the souls of all those suffering from COVID. We ask for healing. We ask, please, please grant the ability to breathe the oxygen to those who need it, especially in India, but other parts of the world as well. Open our hearts for those of us living in the Western world, so privileged to have medicines and health care. Help us to share open-heartedly with those still fighting the battle for health care. Let that mothering instinct, that primal urge of nurture, of cradling life and its delicate, powerful form, the moment of conception and arrival, the moment of departure, and the living. We give thanks for all that Mother is, does, expresses. Thank you for the glory of the reality of unfolding life and our ability to become conscious, awakening in our participation in it. All my relations. Amen. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Aloha from Maui.
Aloha, everyone. Blessings to you. See you next month. So much love.
Thank you, Apila Anavshe.